So this is one of the very rare times where I'm actually going to be voicing over as I'm videoing, because I'm currently standing outside waiting for my mother to prepare a tub inside for Jaci here, because herself was having issues with shedding, and I decided that I was going to leave her a day to let her see if she could do it herself. I misted down the tank, gave her some extra humidity. Usually she's able to do it herself. This time she wasn't too keen, so I basically decided that I was going to run her a bath and I was going to help get rid of all the shed. I removed some of the shed and my arms were literally crawling with mites. Absolutely infested. I have no idea how. I hadn't added anything new to the tank recently, not since I built them. I don't usually handle the rainbow boas, firstly because they're currently in together. I'm hoping for them to pair so I don't want to interrupt. But secondly because they're not all that friendly. They don't really like to be handled, so we're working on it slowly. Instead of handling every week, I might handle once a month, or I might handle for a very short session once a week. But recently it's been only the once a month or so that they can have their private time to hopefully pair and have some baby rainbow boas. And the result is that she must have gotten mites at some point over the last month, and I did not realise. I didn't see any bugs or anything in there with them that weren't just the normal springtails and isopods, and as a result she's completely infested with mites. Her tank mate is going to have to be treated as well. The entire tank is going to have to be treated, so I'm going to be going online shortly to find some Taurus mites, and I'm going to be going and having a shower and scrubbing off about 6 layers of skin because the feeling of them running up and down my arms was not pleasant. So yeah, enjoy this video of mites running up and down my arms because it's nightmare fuel. So I've done a video before on how to deal with snake mites if you do have them in an enclosure or if you've got a snake that has snake mites, but because it was on a young hognose called Truffles, I didn't get any very good pictures of the snake mites. So I figured this was as good a chance as any to show what a snake mite looks like and how they move and so on and so forth, so you can tell. So all of the black dots you can see on me there, those are the adult snake mites, and then the kind of lighter greyish dots that are a little bit smaller, those are the juveniles or the baby snake mites. If you find a bug and you're not sure if it's a snake mite or if it's a different type of mite or whatever, if you take your nail and push it against an adult snake mite and then sort of push it against your skin, if it pops, it'll then leave a little sort of bloody streak. That's a snake mite. That means it's one that has been feeding on a snake, and that's the blood inside it, that it's swollen up after drinking, and you can squish it and you get this bright blood coming out of it because it was feeding off of the snake. There are wood mites and such like that that are completely harmless towards snakes and that you will sometimes get in an enclosure. And if you're not sure, there's so many Facebook groups out there that are for identifying insects and bugs, and especially for reptiles, that if you put up a little video or picture, they can quite quickly tell you with pretty good accuracy whether it's a snake mite or something that's less troublesome. Here you can see some of the mites are on her belly. You can see just glimpses of them here and there, whereas it's very difficult to see them on her back because she's got a nice dark colour, but on the belly you can see the little black dots, and obviously you can still see them all over my hands. The main way that snake mites survive not falling off a snake and stay holding on is by actually staying just underneath their scales. So if you very, very gently lift up a scale, you can actually see mites like sitting underneath them. So the reason I had Jaci out in the first place is because she had some stuck shed on her and I was trying to take it off, and when I was taking off the stuck shed you can actually see the mites still clinging to it. They'd gone underneath the stuck shed because it's just as good as hiding underneath a scale. If you have a snake with stuck shed, give them a bath or a sauna beforehand. She's just out of a bath here now, and then I came down the stairs because I wanted my mother to help video this a bit because I then realised she had the mites. But you can see the mites stuck in the rolled up pieces of shed I'm after taking off her there now. So they're obviously having a great time underneath the stuck shed, and Jaci really likes the flashlight on the phone. Snake mites are extremely prolific. They have lots and lots and lots of babies. I mentioned it in the last video, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. I will put it in text here if I remember to. But if you give a snake a bath and loads of mites fall off them, it's great. It's relieving because these things do itch. They were on my arm for less than 10 minutes. and they were really uncomfortable. But overall, you're not really going to make much of a dent. They're going to reproduce quickly enough that your bath isn't really going to make much of a difference on the overall population, and they're still going to be extremely irritating on your snake. If you're ever getting off stuck patches of shed on a snake, make sure to be as gentle as possible. I'm only using the natural grip on my fingers to kind of roll the shed off after she was in the bath for maybe 5-10 minutes soaking. So it's coming off quite easily. It's just when it's stuck, you don't want to accidentally rip a scale, and especially she's already uncomfortable because there's all these little many-legged things running around, burrowing underneath her scales and having a little party, which isn't the best kind of party to be invited to. So here you can see what I'm talking about. A mite has just gone underneath this scale. I saw him go under. If you extremely gently just take the very tip of the scale and just slightly bend it back, you can see that he's sitting in there drinking away. So that's where they go to drink the blood of the snake, because that's what they survive on. And obviously the snake can't brush them off against like furniture in their tank, and they can't rub them against, say, branches or anything, because they're underneath the scales. Snakes that have snake mites often will soak themselves because they're trying to relieve the itchiness and the uncomfortableness of these mites underneath their scales, burrowing away, drinking on them, and skittering around on their body, which, just from them being on my arm, I can tell you, is very, very itchy and annoying. Usually when I see an animal with snake mites, they only have a couple because they're caught early enough, but because snake mites like high humidity and the rainbows are my most humid species, they appear to have bred extremely quickly. Obviously, because these are parasites and they are drinking on the blood of the snake, they can cause harm. They can cause an animal to lose weight. They can cause an animal to be stressed out. So if you are concerned, you should bring your animal to the vet, but always give them a heads up beforehand that you're bringing an animal that may have parasites, because they don't want an infestation in their place either. So that's it for this video. I hope it was of help to somebody, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will do my absolute best to help. Thank you very much for watching.